This is going to be one of the best bluffing lines that you've probably never even heard of. And this line has to do with play from the small blind against big blind, which I think is a formation that a lot of poker players struggle with. Of course, people struggle here because ranges are so wide for both players, but luckily, that's also what makes bluffing exceptional. And today's specific line, playing as small blind versus big blind in single raised pots, is to bet small on the flop, and to then actually bet small again on the turn in order to bluff on the river. Specifically in small blind versus big blind, our flop strategy in the solver is quite often to use this small bet size, and then the solver also likes using a lot of small bets on the turn. You can see that this is actually the most common bet size to use on this 6 of clubs turn. This is a pretty important exploitative point, especially versus good opponents. In poker, we always have to try to play a little bit close to the solver strategy in order to not give away too much information about what we're doing. I think a lot of people default to using something like 75% of the pot on turns like these, and this is a pretty big mistake. When you're using a 75% pot size bet, not only are you missing out on this very important exploit, but your strategy is honestly just very face up. If you're using 75% of the pot and you're playing against me, I know you're just betting your top pairs plus. I know you're going to be checking a lot of your weaker hands. And so as the in position player, I'm just going to bet really big with my top pairs and crush that strategy. This isn't really the subject of today's video, but I just want to point out that when we are allowed to use a small bet size in solvers, it is much more difficult to counter our highly exploitative strategy, and therefore it performs better versus very good opponents. Because the solver likes using a small bet size on the flop and on the turn in blind versus blind, I think this is just such an amazing exploit that you really have to know.